Thank you, councilors. I appreciate your diligence and the time you put into managing the affairs of the city. I really do. I don't agree with everything that you do, but I sincerely appreciate the amount of time and effort that you put into doing the job that you're doing. So thank you. I wanted to make a comment about the advanced metering infrastructure component of this. And I do want to point out that not everybody wants an EMF emitting device in their homes, and some people are sensitive to this. And so we see the small cell wireless facilities coming into the neighborhoods. Now we have smart meters on houses, and we know there are people that are EMF sensitive, and they have an immediate reaction when there's a smart meter at their home. And so I just want to address the option, then hope you consider having an opt-out clause in whatever you decide to do with the smart meters. Just let people say, I don't want a smart meter in my house. Allow people that option so that they're not forced to have a smart meter in their house. And don't charge them an extra fee to not have the smart meter, whether that's a monthly fee or a one-time fee. And it would be great if you could provide in writing a guarantee to the person to say, we agree. You've asked for no smart meter. We'll honor that. Here's a written agreement that while you're on vacation, the city won't come and put a smart meter on your house. And I think it's also important to understand the scope of the smart meters. Would they be for would your plan include water, electric, and gas? Because there's going to be a pulse of electromagnetic radiation pulse from these meters whenever they transmit. And I'm personally not sensitive to it, but there are a lot of people that are, and it's like a peanut allergy. We all acknowledge that some people can't handle peanuts, so we don't get to eat peanuts on the airplanes anymore. I used to like my peanuts on the airplane, but we all agreed that in the interest of everyone's safety, we'll forego that. So I'm asking you to consider in your plan an option to allow people to opt out of it, and so I think that's what I wanted to say, and I appreciate your time. I really do, and I think you're really putting your best effort forward. And although I might not agree with everything, I sincerely appreciate all the extra personal time it takes to be a counselor. It's really a sacrifice. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. If you can come back up. So I have a follow-up question related to our speaker this evening, and that is, what would that look like? What would an opt-out clause look like? How is that something that people or utilities can offer routinely? How different would that
utilities
be?
do offer it. Usually there is a fee for it. If somebody opts out, like the most recent one that I can remember, if they opted out ahead of the meter being installed, there wasn't a fee for a meter change out, but there was a monthly fee. Folks that opted out after the meter had been installed, they charged them a meter change out fee and then a monthly fee, because it's causing a truck roll, it's causing a body to be there. So you got to have a way to recover that, especially with the kind of investment that's made into the smart meter system and all the software and all that kind of stuff. So when you have to keep that FTE there and keep that truck roll, you have to do something to recover that cost. And the other issue with the no opt-out fee is then one person who, say, doesn't like smart meters for whatever the reason, starts talking to all their neighbors and convinces them it doesn't cost anything, and then pretty soon you're kind of sunk your investment in all this software and capability that you thought you were going to have.
So if I understand that correctly, then from a technical perspective, it's not necessarily a hard thing to do to have an opt-out clause. The question then becomes the business model, recapturing the cost.
Yeah.
So that's what we would have to consider.
That becomes more of a policy question for this body.
Right. Okay, great. Any further discussion? Councilor Hanson.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, Tom, along those lines, what are our current reading less meters? Don't they have an RF
we have
transmission associated with them, and what's our policy currently with those? We
have probably a 40 or 50% penetration on radio read meters, which is just a one-way transmission, so there's no two-way. All the good data is all it does is it sends a radio signal every for a millisecond every 30 seconds, I think, so that somebody can walk down the street and pick up that radio signal and get the meter read. And that's all they accomplish. The current policy is a no-cost opt-out, and that policy was in, I don't remember when that resolution was written. It was long before me. I wanted to say mid-2000s or something like that, but that is the current policy.
Okay, and that technology is very similar than the smart meter technologies in terms of the radio frequency to transmit that data.
The RF portion is very similar. You add collectors to, like, on streetlights or on poles where we can tie into the fiber system to backhaul the info, and that's where then you can pull it up on your own computer and see your usage, and that's where you get all the fun back-end information is on that two-way piece of transmission.
Right, so we essentially already have a system in place that already has RF all over the city.
Right, and all of Avista's system is, they're 100%.
They're 100%. Okay, thanks, Tom.
Sabrina?
So just on this topic, I do think that smart meters are going to be something that council is going to need to discuss in the future as a utility board, because we're looking at currently is, between our water utilities and electric utility, employing numerous people to read meters, which is a fine policy decision. But in terms of looking at keeping rates affordable, there is, a large one-time upfront capital investment in these meters. And of course, they do have a life on them. But it does eliminate kind of the cost of the employees that we have for these kind of things moving forward. So this will be something, as technology is changing, that we're going to need to consider long-term affordability of our rates with looking at this kind of technology and what that means in terms of the budget for the utilities.
Councillor Hanson.
Thanks. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but looking towards the future, when we're able to utilize a customer's vehicle battery and utilize a customer's maybe even their own energy storage battery, or to be able to turn off their electric hot water heater, doesn't the smart meter capability make customers part of the solution for load balancing and renewable
To get to
storage?
to get to any of those type of goals like that with the smart home type stuff or battery to grid stuff, where you're going to need a smarter metering infrastructure and visibility into that.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
And just in as an example, and I don't want Scott to feel left out because he's not here. For example, Central Point put in smart meters for their water utility. And so if you have a leak in your sprinkler, you get notified almost immediately. So there's a lot of conservation, to your point, Councilor Hanson, elements with these metering devices now that I think would be very useful for our community.
And to that point, one of the systems I've looked at was actually compatible with the water meters, where you put a reader on the water meter and it talks to the electric meter that does the backhaul. So you can get them both on the same piece of software.
Interesting.
Okay. So if there are